Hello, everybody. This is Bill Ollett, and I'm here to talk to you about the Disciplined Entrepreneurship Canvas in the new expanded and updated Disciplined Entrepreneurship book. I'm going to talk to you about three things related to this. One, what the Disciplined Entrepreneurship Canvas is. Two, why it's of value and why it's unique. And third, how do you use it? First, let's talk about what the Disciplined Entrepreneurship Canvas is. The Disciplined Entrepreneurship Canvas you can see here, or actually better up here on the screen, is a one-page summary of the status of your business so you can see how things stand. It's made up of 10 different boxes. 8 of them have to do with the 24 steps, very directly. 2 of them, box number 1, which is raison d'etre, and box number 2, which says overall economics, are additional things that relate to that. Specifically the raison d'etre, which I describe in the book, but let me just say here, raison d'etre means reason for existence in French. And raison d'etre is, why does the world need this business? Why is the world better off because this business is going to happen? And that's not a product, that's not detailed step, that's just what's your vision for it. And in the raison d'etre is also, what are your initial assets that you have? What's your team? And then the overall economics is something that looks at, how do you come up with a income statement, profit and balance sheet that includes other areas than what were covered in the 24 steps. The 24 steps, we really talk about unit economics. That is, cost of customer acquisition compared to LTV. This does not cover, your research and development expenses, and does not cover your G&A, or general and administrative overhead expenses. So, and to make a full business picture, you need to include these elements of it. So the Disciplined Entrepreneurship Canvas is a really good view of how does your business stand, what are your strengths and weaknesses. That's what the Disciplined Entrepreneurship Canvas is. Why is this important? Why do we do this? Well, first of all, we do it because it's always helpful to see where you stand in a summary way. It's like a scoreboard saying, how well are you doing? What are our strengths? What are our weaknesses? And when we looked at things like the business model canvas, the lean canvas, it's nice to see a summary. And so we see a lot of value in that. On the other hand, there's a weakness to having a canvas that we saw when we use these types of things, is that it gives you a false sense of security or confidence that you've covered your business. It's like filling out a Mad Libs. It all makes sense. But does it all hold together? Do you have an integrated, cohesive, aligned business plan? And do you see the underlying relationships that tie these things together? And so we thought long and hard about how do we do that. And as you can see with the business model canvas for disciplined entrepreneurship, there is a relationship between the different boxes. You can see you have number 1 in the upper left-hand corner, then that leads down to number 2 in the lower left-hand corner, which leads to 3 right next to that, 4. And each one of these things, why are they numbered and why are there arrows pointing you through that? Because they're interdependent. It's actually, you ideally want to do these things sequentially. And even if you don't, you have to understand that these things relate to steps before them. If I want to know what the quantified value proposition is, I need to know who the customer is. I need to know what their number 1 priority is. I need to know the persona. I need to know the target customer profile. If I want to know how we do pricing, I also have to understand what's a competitive advantage. So these are the things that are built kind of into the logic of it, which is why a disciplined entrepreneurship canvas is different and why it's sequential. Do you have to do these all in perfect order like this? The answer is no, you do not have to. But you need to understand that if you go further down and you're working on something that's later in the canvas, go back and fix the things in front of it. Otherwise, it's not going to have the underlying logic to have it hold over the long term. So that's what the Disciplined Entrepreneurship Canvas is. That's why we do it, and we have it here, and why it's an important part of the new book, and we put it at the beginning because it's something to track your progress. What I want to do now is show you how this would work with a very interesting case study. And the case study is one that probably a lot of you have heard of, and if you haven't, you'll find this very interesting. And I want you now to focus on the process that we're going to go through here, because the output, people get infatuated with the output. And what we're asking you to look at the process, because what we teach you is the process. The company is called Dollar Shave Club. This company technically was started in 2011, And the founder was someone by the name of Michael Dubin, who went to Emory University, grew up in Philadelphia, went to Emory University, went to New York City, learned about digital marketing, did some stand-up comedy in New York at Upright Citizens Brigade, moves to Los Angeles, gets involved with a venture studio, and in 2010, he gets asked if he's interested in a warehouse full of razor blades. He says yes, and now he has to figure out how to start a business. So he launches a company called Dollar Shave Club in 2011, puts up a website, nothing happens. It really takes off in March of 2012. In March of 2012, Dollar Shave Club launches on this new platform called YouTube a video that we're going to see. We're going to ask you to go take a look at it in 1 second. And that video goes viral. Now, again, it's 2012. It's very important to understand the time. 2012, the internet has now become a well-accepted thing. Consumer behavior has changed. Amazon had showed them you can buy things online, not just books, but you can buy CDs, you can buy consumer electronics. There's a lot of things you can buy online. You also have people using Facebook, to communicate with other people. You have Google being very popular now to search the internet. And you have Netflix out there. People are downloading movies and watching them and used to a subscription business. See, there's a lag between when technology allows something to happen and when it's accepted in the marketplace. And what we have in 2012 is consumer behavior is starting to catch up with the possibilities of the internet. So in 2012, in this new platform called YouTube, Michael Dubin spends $4,500 for this video, which leverages his skill as a comedian and his expertise in digital content creation that he learned working in New York City in digital marketing, to produce the following video. And you can see the link right here, and I would ask you to go take a look at this video now, and we'll come back and discuss kind of what's going on with Dollar Shave Club. Well, that was quite a video, wasn't it? And you're saying, well, what's MIT doing showing a crazy video like that? Because we're going to talk about the process of entrepreneurship and how to use a disciplined entrepreneurship canvas with this very entertaining example. And it's not high technology at all. It's really not. It's very simple. So what's going on here? He sells out his warehouse within hours after this video comes out. And so if we look at, we look at this, what exactly is going on? Why is this so interesting? Why are we doing this case study? Because there's some really important things happening here. First of all, you see how effective a communicator Michael is. This is a very important skill for any entrepreneur. Strong communication skills. He tells you within the first 8 seconds what Dollar Shave Club is. For $1 a month, we bring high quality razors right to your door. And he nails it, right? He tells you what it is. And he goes through and in this video and kind of pulls you in to like him and to laugh and then understand what Dollar Shave Club is about. So very important, good sales technique. Sales starts emotional, gets rational, ends emotional. You like him, you're pulled into it. Okay, that's one thing. The second thing here is he is getting millions, and I mean millions of views from this. And these are leads for his business. So his cost of customer acquisition, getting millions of leads for a video that he put out for $4,500 on this new free platform. It's one of the first videos to go very viral. And he is getting enormous traction. What does this mean? That means his cost of customer acquisition is almost zero. They've never seen this before. There's nothing like, if you're at Gillette, you're hiring agencies, paying them millions of dollars, trying to get ads in the Super Bowl and the NBA Finals, which the Celtics won, by the way. And your cost of customer acquisition is extraordinarily high. So using digital marketing expertise he has, he's getting the cost of customer acquisition. This will be reflected, as you see in the disciplined entrepreneurship canvas, with strong grades as we get into the box about cost of customer acquisition. It is also very interesting that as he's doing e-commerce, he is getting to have a very profitable business because he's cutting out the middleman and he can manage inventory. And oh, by the way, because with Facebook, he's now getting information directly about the customers. He's not selling it through Walmart. He's not selling it through CVS. He's not selling it through Target. He's not selling it through Walgreens. He's selling it directly to the customer. And what happens in that is he gets customer information about email address, about ship to address, and their credit card. So now he has direct, highly profitable, disintermediated connection to his customer. Gillette doesn't have this and can't have this. So this is the Facebook model, the kind of Netflix, I can come directly to you. And talking about Netflix, it's also a subscription model where it comes to you and you get recurring revenue. What does this mean? This means a low cost of customer acquisition, high lifetime value because I'm able to continue to sell it to you. And it also means I get recurring revenue. This is an extraordinary opportunity, an extraordinary time as entrepreneurs love change, and Dollar Shave Club is right out there at the front of this. As you can see right here in number 6, product unit economics, they are getting extraordinarily strong grades. They're getting lots of customers and they're getting them very, very profitably. So if we give them, we'll look at these things and we'll give them a green for very strong, a red for this is a problem, and we'll give them a yellow for it's not great, it's not terrible, it's not going to kill you, but it's in between. So immediately we have to give Dollar Shave Club in box number 6 here, we have to give them a very strong green. We also have to give them a strong green in number 7 in sales because this looks really good for the how are we selling it, the channel and everything. And then if just moving over to number 10, we got to give them green there. So this is a very strong score, it looks like, on the Disciplined Entrepreneurship Canvas, and with good reason. This direct-to-consumer, D2C, is a good model for those types of things, especially when you've had a viral video hit like this, especially at this time and place. So what else would we do here? Well, design and build seems fine. That might be a yellow. The overall economics are probably very strong. We can give that a yellow-green. Customer acquisition seems fine because he's getting a lot of customers. But is there a competitive advantage? Not really. So we give that a yellow or a red, somewhere in there. The value creation. Well, what's his value creation? Well, shave time, shave money. That seems pretty clear. But does he know who his customer is? Well, let's talk about this. Is there a raison d'etre, strong raison d'etre for this? If we step back now and critically look at this, we can get infatuated with the fact that he is selling lots of stuff and doing these terrific product unit economics and sales and has a clearly highly scalable business. But what about those nasty little things over on the left? 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, we got to give him very low grades on this. Who is your target customer here? If you're Dollar Shave Club, who is your target customer? Well, I'm going to ask you that question and give you a little advice, and then we're going to take a break and have you figure it out. Who is your target customer? You would look at the person who is talking to you. You can look at this right here. The person who's talking to you in the ad is Michael himself. What is Michael? Build the demographic psychographic of Michael. What is Michael? We're going to take a break here and give you a chance to build up who's the target customer, not who you think it should be based on what their value proposition, because that's not who's talking to you. Sales starts emotional. You want to see you there. And if you want to see where you start with the person who's talking to you. Who is this type of person, Michael? Let's build the demographic psychographic, and we'll come right back and discuss it. Okay, so now you've had a chance to think about what's the demographic psychographic of the end user for Dollar Shave Club. You might have rationally said, well, it's someone who wants something that's cheap. It's someone who wants something that's convenient. That's not who's talking to you, ladies and gentlemen. The person who's talking to you is Mike. You see Mike with his tie and kind of going around and the way he conducts himself. This is obviously a white, affluent male who's kind of gone well-educated. And that's who this message hits home very, very strongly. You'll say, but the product is different. The product is only going to be used if the messenger gets it to you. And in this case, the messenger is very strong and that channel is coming to. And who's your target demographic? Young males who want to look good, who are earning a good living. So let's think about this for a second. That's the target customer. Have they really thought about this very much? Not really. Because they put together a video and the thing caught fire and there's no shame in this at all. But if that we did have catch lightning in a bottle like that, we really have to go back and say, who is your customer and what's the value that they're looking for? And as we think about this customer, is it really cheap that they're looking for? When you look at someone like Mike, he wants to look good. When he goes out, he wants to look good. Quality is extremely important to his customer. And that quality is going to be a problem because he does not have proprietary access to high quality. In fact, he gets cut off from quality by Gillette because they control the supply chains and he gets cut off from quality. And now, what is he selling? He's saying, shave time, shave money. But the number one priority of this customer as they're sitting there getting ready to go out is that they don't want to end up with little blood spots on their face. They want a high quality shaver. And if you look at it and you look at how this thing plays out over time, you'll see the reviews aren't as strong. And that customer is not a good customer for them because they get cut off because they don't have competitive advantage from the source of the highest quality. They lose customers and they start to have problems keeping the customers they have. They're not able to upsell, and it just gets to be an issue because they didn't know who their customer was. And now they don't know who their customer was. They've got the wrong value proposition. They didn't have competitive advantage. We have to give these boxes the raison d'etre. At best, you could give it a yellow. I would give it a red. I don't see that this is a great company. They don't have a serious mission in the world. It seems like it's a fun company, but not a serious one that's really going to do something that motivates people every day. It's not mission driven. Number two, who's their customer? Clearly, we have a misalignment. And when we have that problem, you can't not know who your customer is and have a box number three, value creation be strong. So these two are red. Competitive advantage is red because he has nothing proprietary. His biggest advantage is this video. And then we have Mike, which is an asset to the company. But are those really truly core that other people couldn't do that? We have a disciplined entrepreneurship canvas with green over here on the right and some yellow. But on the left, you see a whole lot of red. And what happens here is you have a house that is built, that seems to be a nice house, but it's built on a foundation of sand, which starts eroding over time. And Dollar Shave Club, thankfully for Mike, it still does very well because it's such a key point in time. But is it a missed opportunity? And they sell out to Unilever for $1 billion. But is there missed opportunity here? And the fact of the matter is that I believe that there is absolutely missed opportunity, and I can show it through three ways. First of all, what is the next product that comes out for Dollar Shave Club? And again, here you can look at the video here. And what comes out next is not something that's aligned with their customer, like shaving cream or aftershave or a shaving brush. It is butt wipes. So take a look at this video. Welcome back. I did not make this up about the butt wipes. This is true, but they did not leverage their customer to do that. They thought we're selling high margin products by using this new platform, but that platform was something that other people could do. And butt wipes never became nearly as successful as the initial one. So they did capture lightning in a bottle. Congratulations, we're very happy. But what was the follow-on act? Did they utilize all the advantage they have to drive up LTV, to continually to keep their cost of customer acquisition low? They did not. Another company comes along after them called Harry's, and Harry's actually gets into the market late. but they got one of these plants, and they are able to keep high quality going because they thought about who their customer is at this point at the beginning, and then they put competitive advantage. They thought about that, and they start to roll, and they end up passing Dollar Shave Club. And as you can see, they were offered to be bought by Schick for $1.37 billion, which is 37% more, even though they started later and they never captured lightning in a bottle, late to the party. But they did extremely well. The third thing I tell you is a company that started at the same time in, without question, a worse market, much, much worse market, is a company called Chewy.com. This is the pet food market. The biggest failure, the biggest flop of the dot-com era was a company called Pets.com. It was known as crazy idea that we just got way out over our skis because we were funding a commodity product, dog food, that was heavy to ship. How would anybody do that? How could you build a business out of this? And yet two crazy people down in Florida did just that. They started a company at the same time Mike started his in 2011 called Chewy.com. But what they did is they built up a raison d'etre. They knew who their customer were. They were very, very diligent about what they were doing, high customer satisfaction, and they grew very, very slowly in a disciplined way. And they built up their foundation, and they grew very slowly, partly because they couldn't raise money, just in Florida, but they built up their LTV. They managed their cost of customer acquisition. And then they expanded to the Southeast, and then to the Mid-Atlantic, and then to the Northeast, and then it was very much the tortoise here. But at the end of the day, Chewy.com ends up at its peak being worth $40 billion. There's no question that this is a worse marketplace than razors or health and beauty care, which was why Unilever bought Dollar Shave Club, because it was an entree into high margin health and beauty. And that's why when you look at them, they had a strong foundation, and then they moved strongly from the left here to the right, and they end up with a sustainable business. So what's the point? This case study shows you how you can evaluate companies and see in this, not only are they doing the parts of it well, but are they doing them in a systematic manner. Dollar Shave Club, and we want every entrepreneur to be successful, and they were. Michael unquestionably was successful, but could he have been more successful? Was it? Yes, because he built this house on a foundation of sand, of like not really knowing who the customer was, not having competitive advantage. And that would have been obvious from this show, and we'll show you again. Here's the Dollar Shave Club Disciplined Entrepreneurship canvas, red on the left, green on the right. Now when we show you Chewy.com, you can see green on the left, and then it's got green on the right, and that's a much more sustainable model. So this is why an example of how you would use the Disciplined Entrepreneurship Canvas. I hope this has been useful for you. You can go back and take another look at the book, and I think it'll make a lot more sense now.